I sat in the car at the rental pickup place for 40 minutes because I could not figure it out. So I sat in the rental pickup area like, what is all this? And everything beeping, my Bluetooth connecting, and like the doors open. I'm a wreck. And I'm literally there for like 40 minutes just trying to figure out how to put this thing in park and reverse. But it was to the point like some kid like knocked on the window. It's like, "Hey sir, you're okay?" I'm like, "Dude, no,
Help me figure out this
don't.
car.
First of all, don't give me no sir, right? Like, don't give me. Let's back it up. I'm fine. How do I put this in reverse? You know what I mean? But like, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, for sure.
This
Thanks for having me.
This one's big, man, and I was looking forward to this one. And one thing that I've been mentioning to everyone right off the bat is the shop location, man. It just seems super convenient, whether you're getting in and out, logistically.
Yeah, for sure.
So, for like, tell me like your job title and like what it is you tinker with most of the times, and how you feel logistics within the area, because there's a lot of other companies around here that
there are,
so
which makes it convenient when we're doing sub rentals, and things like that, and just delivery and pickup. The hotels, most of them are within 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So this is really a good spot for the shop. So nobody's driving too far unless they're going down south for delivery or whatever. But just my job is just managing the quality control department for all 3 offices. What I tinker with a lot is, these days, I don't know, trying to get gear back into commission that's damaged. We've been experiencing a big uptick in issues with gear. I think because of the pandemic, I don't think that did us any favors. So staff changes, material shortages, things like that have made things a little more difficult as far as gear goes. So
what is your official job title?
Quality control and service manager.
So this is a big one, and again, this one I was like, oh, dude, I need this is gonna be great with Zach. Because like, as an outsider in, before I joined Evolve, I was just everywhere, what I mean, jumping between, you name it, event, corporate, expo, tour, you name it, right? And it was wherever I was getting the call, I would just go.
Right.
So, the quality of equipment, you're only as good as the gear you're provided.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm always an awesome believer in that. If you have awesome gear, sometimes you're fortunate enough to have awesome gear. Sometimes you really have to, work at things. So all that being said, can you run like what's a quick scenario of let's say for a projection show we have going out? What would you say for outsiders, listening in? What's like a typical QC process before it gets considered to go on a truck?
Oh, I mean, top to bottom. So the gear gets checked back in from, the previous show. It gets rolled down to QC. We level the projectors in a cage.
Sure.
We level it in the cage. Make sure all the feet are screwed on. Make sure doing all our physical hardware checks. If the cage is all dinged up, we'll paint it and, kind of make it look a little bit nicer. And then we'll turn it on, check all of our inputs, check LAN connection. We'll make sure all of the settings internally are what we send them out with. We'll, take our light readings to see if the lumen count is on point, log our hours in our maintenance logs, so we're getting the entire history of that unit.
Wow.
So if there's, from the first time it's ever turned on to the last time it's ever turned on, we have that projector's entire story, which is nice to see if there are inconsistencies between, lumen counts, or if the projector went in, the board got switched, sometimes that erases hours. So, we know that, say it comes back with 0 hours from the service center, we know that that's not actually true because it had, 1,300 hours before it left for the service center. So, which is nice. I like having, basically that entire story of a unit's life, so.
Wow. It was always really cool with me. Like, how can I say this? So, like, before my life before Evolve, anytime a client would provide like Evolve gear to me or for me, like it always had that new car. Like,
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
like Rich was our marketing guy. Rich was like he was kind of talking to him about that feeling of like when our field techs get Evolve gear, and I was kind of telling for me it was like kind of like a Folgers coffee where you open the lid and it's just kind of like you smell the coffee,
Right.
you're like, ah,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of like the feeling I used to get.
For sure.
Everything just super clean,
Yep.
very tidy. And I think just the quality of equipment was pretty key, man. I was
Absolutely.
always seriously impressed of like everything I ever touched out of it all.
And it seems to be that way throughout the industry. Is we have that rep, which is kind of what sets us aside from other companies. Is you're renting the highest quality gear, usually the newest stuff. It's always clean. It's always functioning properly 99.999% of the time. And every time I've ever been on a show, either doing a strike or just doing a delivery or a pickup,
Sure.
they're like, oh yeah, Evolve's here. Everybody loves our gear.
Yeah.
And that's something that I saw right in the beginning of working for this company, was that people's reactions to like, oh, great, we're getting gear from them, we're gonna have a good show.
So, speaking on that, how long have you been with Evolve?
5 years.
Cool.
5 years.
And before that, did you have like show experience, like on site?
No, nothing. Zero AV experience.
Got it. So we did. I sent out a mass email to the shop and to all your crew, and we're like, hey, I need to ask a serious question, like dead serious, like because this is our time to get to know one another, and for everyone listening, like man, I think the goal of this is to keep a serious perspective of like these people really do care.
Right, definitely.
So
definitely.
it was like instant all over, like, oh, you know what, Zach is a perfect guy to do this. So with that being said, the question was like, what is the SKU of a Haas avocado?
Oh no. 4048.
So
That's a hilarious question. I was not expecting that. Yeah, from the old produce days.
yeah. So sorry, man. I had to. So
That's hilarious.
so like, okay, so to get serious again. So like, what do you have like a first kind of memory that you want to share? Like, oh, dude, this is legit. This is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, do you have something like that you could remember?
I mean, my first week, I went and did a setup here locally with who was it? Husky, Brent, and Jason Moore. And it was just really cool going out there because I'd only spent a couple of days in the shop and I didn't know what anything was or how anything worked. And it was cool to get an early, glimpse into how things go on site. It kind of, started to let me see like, okay, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what I'm going to be doing at this job, is making sure everything works to make this show happen, flawlessly.
Right.
So that was pretty cool to see my first week. And yeah, just how cool the gear was and how interesting it is. It wasn't, I like produce, but there's a heck of a lot more interesting than produce, So that was pretty cool to see right off the bat. And it was cool to see how hard everybody worked.
Yeah.
So
like, shop comparison talk. You know what I mean? Like, again, this one, I was really looking forward to this one. And again, I was, this one was a big one for me because I've always prepped. I've always shown up to site, build a rig or prep a rig or ring out, or, just to pre-build, right? And I've seen how well Evolve keeps their shops and how
For
tight
sure.
they are.
That's a big thing.
So what would you give an outsider like myself, or people like old people like me, where like, oh dude, I gotta fly to Evolve, or I gotta prep my stuff. What are some do's and don'ts for people coming in and like, oh dude, I already know. Like, there's one thing, like, show up to prep. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna be bugging this guy left and right. Like, hey man, what's the Wi-Fi? Hey man, like, you know what I mean? What are some do's? Do you understand the question?
Yeah.
What would you say some do's and don'ts
Just
are?
communicate what you're doing. If you're taking gear off the shelf,
yeah.
say, hey, this guy, just so you know, I'm taking this. I'll bring it right back. Put stuff back where it belongs. I would say that's a big one. But no, that's a really cool thing is about Evolve also, and I saw that as well early on, is I would see just people come in and like mess with our gear. And it's just like, wait, they're not charging for this? Like, people are like that, other people that work at Evolve, it's like, oh, I know this guy from the industry, he's gonna come in and check out this projector. Or he's got a show with an E2, he hasn't been an E2 op before. And it's like, they'll just let people come in here and mess around?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just to tinker.
Exactly, just to tinker and get, it's kind of another layer of support that we add for no cost to people.
That's big, and that's something that has been really instilled in my position as well. Like, where even in academy, after people come to trainings, every day is like highly encouraged. They're like, you know what, if you forget or if you're doing something else, but you have something else coming up that you want to come in and just tinker.
Exactly.
So they're like, dude, set up a table, like whatever, like,
go nuts.
Absolutely. I thought that was pretty big, and I think it's still kind of like an unforeseen thing. I'm like, man, this is a pretty cool like mentality for just techs and stuff like that. For
sure.
So like, what would you say? Because my first experience with you is projection talk. And it's funny because it felt like I just kind of came in cold and was like, hey man, we need this or that. I'm like, oh, okay, the answer's right. And like, who is this dude in Vegas? So like, so let's say we go get called tonight. Hey man, we're gonna go load in tomorrow. We don't know what we're doing. What is one tool that you feel like, oh, okay, I want to bring this? And what is one tool that you can't go without? One or two tools.
I would say definitely the Leatherman.
The leather, okay.
Leatherman, that's a shop requirement. Yeah. We all carry them at the shop.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. Honestly, I've used the level on my iPhone a lot.
That's big.
It's pretty handy.
Yeah. One thing I carry is they're expensive, but like if you're doing blending and stuff, I love the green laser Leica.
Yeah.
It is a little pricey, but man, those things pop. And for some like football stadium field like levels, like the DeWalt ones are pretty good too. But yeah, that level is a pretty good one.
It's a big one. Yeah. It's a big one
because they LED application too, right? Because you got to level your LED. That's a pretty good one.
It's a big one.
I think everyone I'm asking as I do these, like, it's awesome to hear that no one has the same. Well, the Husky was like, dude, Leatherman.
Yeah, of course.
But I think that the level is a nice touch.
Yeah, level's a big one. I use it. I mean, I use it most days at the shop. When doing projection, especially. So
like, okay, dude, my whole experience since I've been here, we've talked nothing but shop since I started with Evolve. So I understand you're a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So how long have you been playing drums? And have you played with anyone that you can think of that's like, oh?
Well, I've been playing, I think, since I was 10, so almost 20 years. And I've been fortunate to play with some really talented people over the years. Nobody famous, but some really, really solid players that we've had some good jam time with us. So.
Hi, can I please have a small mocha?
A small hot mocha?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I get a grande pink drink?
I got you.
Is that real?
Yeah.
I don't believe
it's real. It's real.
Can I please have a grande pink drink?
And a grande iced coffee.
And
cream and sugar.
And a grande iced coffee with cream and sugar.
Right, it's gonna be $14.43.
Okay. What is that?
So, I don't know if you met her, Sobian.
Yeah.
She works in LED repair. That's
Yeah.
my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, you're going to Starbucks? Gotta give me one of those." So
But what it?
I don't know. It's some pink drink with
Yeah.
dried strawberries. God knows.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'll ask you a question.
Sure.
Let's see. You've been at about a couple months.
So, okay. So, like, Rich and I, the first take we did of this, you know, he was asking me, like, hey, dude, so, you know, when you first started, you were nervous, and I'm still a nervous wreck. Like, yeah, like,
Nah.
I'm still, like, super awkward, super nervous wreck, and, like, but, like, what I was telling him was, like, it's really weird how cool everyone
For
is
sure.
here. And it
Sure.
made it really easy for me to do what I needed to do. Okay, like I sat down, like, where do I start? And, you know, as time progressed, you know, eventually I saw what I needed to do, and then I started getting thrown into with the wolves and all that. You know what I mean? But the conversations changed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, at first was, you know. So, like, see, you got put in.
Oh,
Okay.
Great.
So, like, at first it was like, had to learn the inventory system, had to
Yeah.
learn the flow, and so no, thank you, but can I have a receipt, please? Awesome.
Better get that receipt.
Authorize. Cool. Thank you. So, like, at first I was super timid, and I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, this is what I'm not, you know. I think it's because this was my first go at something like this.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So I was very timid. But now the conversations changed to, like, hey, man, what do you, like, we're doing this projection mapping job. Like, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm on it. And I just sit there and I just, I get into the matrix, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I send it back. So that's the one thing that I can say that the conversations are.
Change you like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I will take a couple. Sorry about that. So, yeah, but what were you going to ask?
Yeah, so what I was gonna ask you first impressions. What's different
Sure.
about Evolve than other places you've seen?
Thank you.
How are you liking it?
Sure.
You already said you like everybody. I agree, everybody. This
Yeah.
company is pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts so far? I mean,
Well, okay, so what the next thing that I said to Rich blew us away. So, like, when I first started, it was like I was, timid. I'm like, okay, because I'd always been in design and in loadout, never
Right.
rental, or
Okay.
not never, but I was on the two separate sides. So coming into this, where it's like, hey, rental, we do everything, right? So a lot of everything that I have experienced in my life gets applied to here now, right? Because it's rental, we're doing everything, right?
right.
So, so what I said to him next, I didn't realize it until I said it, was, okay, for when I first started, I was a little timid. Fast forward 5 months to now, where I'm having better conversations.
Mhm.
And once I said that, we're like, dude, 5 months already.
That,
So,
that is crazy.
And so, like, to answer your question, is like everyone, like, I'll always say everyone's really cool. I think above all, what was so awesome in my opinion is that everyone was so easy to work with. It was easy to understand how to work with someone, if that makes sense.
yeah.
For example, because I work with a lot of sales and rental, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because primarily in my position, I'm global. We're warehouse, consultation, sales, rentals, and I mean, you name it. I have to go across the globe and
Right.
evolve, right?
Right.
So the fact that everyone has been so cool, that I'm able to kind of learn everyone's method and style, like, it made it real easy for me to adapt to
Good.
each person.
That's
You
good.
know what I mean?
That's good.
And again, having to jump from a conversation at the warehouse to a desk conversation in a meeting to like a conference call. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was able to pick up everyone's kind of style, and the first impressions was pretty awesome. And it just took me a little time to get there. But once it clicked, it was game over.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Where were you at before this? What were you doing?
So I've been on my own for about 13 years.
You mentioned before you have a lot of gear, right? So
I do, yeah. So throughout that time, you just build up your assets. You know what I mean? Because there was one year where it was like, it was year of the mapping. I remember it was like 2015, 16, somewhere around there. And like it was to the point that almost every other job was outdoors mapping.
Really?
Yeah, it was gnarly. And this was when it was hot. You know what I mean? I would say that implementation is very much alive and real, but now I feel it's very catered.
Okay.
So like it's still very much alive and real, but back then when I was younger, it was just like, dude, it was like every month was,
wow,
damn, overnights again.
Right.
So but throughout that time, I always had people like, hey, this would be a lot easier if you just had your own media server or XY. Oh, did I miss a turn?
Yeah, you can do a U-turn.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's all
okay.
good.
So that's where it all started.
Okay.
And I think my mother-in-law was the one that pushed me. She was like, dude, do it. Like, what are you waiting for? You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what allowed me to kind of U-turn?
Yep.
Okay. I think that's what allowed me to kind of progress and get mature with like whatever this is that I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at first I was just a tech and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing this thing again. But now it's just kind of like, you have to learn how to real talk with people, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was never that person whatsoever. And I think everyone along the way has coached me into where, you can easily sit down in a big old conference table and speak, educated,
right.
on a thing, on a concept that we're trying to do.
Sure.
So, yeah. So it's been a wild ride so far, and yeah. I would say like I have a little storage full of stuff. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Pretty cool.
What I keep referring to like new people coming in, like even like J-Mac. I was asking him like, hey dude, you're a PM. Like, what's your take? Like, what's some advice that you can give some people like going to a show for the first time? You know what I mean? Like people watching. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, well, I'm thinking about getting this field. Like, what can I expect, right? Even Husky, I asked him the same question. Like, new person coming in, what is like a take, So whether if it's on a site or coming into the shop, is it the next rate? Like
yeah.
So whether it's at the shop.
Or second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whether it's at the shop or, on site, would you have any like would you have any advice for any new people coming in?
Yeah, definitely. I would say a big thing would just be to have a sense of urgency, because things move so quickly in this industry and pop-ups happen all the time. I would just say hustle, and especially if you're on show site, definitely be hustling to try to accomplish whatever you're doing, whether it's building a wall or LED wall or whatever. I would say hustle. I also say be, especially in shop work, and I mean especially also in work on show, be as detail oriented and as thorough as you can, because if you're not, those things can come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Big time.
Circle.
So yeah.
Yeah. It was full circle.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely attention to detail is a big one.
What would you say, like, what would you like to see in the future happen, like, in the field of tech? I know it's kind of a point blank question there.
That's a big one.
Just in your eyes too, because you literally see it all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. That's hard.
I know 12G is a hot topic right now.
Yeah. Better support. I would say better product support. Especially for me. That's a huge one.
If I had a ding ding ding.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There you go.
It's a big one, man. Because I'm constantly dealing with companies and service centers, and some of them are better than others at whether it be replying to your email or getting back to you, getting your I do a ton of RMAs. So anything that could help that and just help general support, I'm all for. I'm all for it.
That was probably the best answer, man. That was pretty legit. That was pretty legit. Like, I was really thinking you were gonna say, "Oh man, it'd be cool to like, see like blah 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 LED wall." Dude, the way you took that, I definitely wasn't thinking on that side of the brain for sure.
Dude, well, it's something I deal with every single day, and it can be smooth, or a lot of times, especially recently, it's
Pulling teeth.
bumpy. It's pulling teeth, and people are on me like, hey, why isn't this projector back from the service center? It's like, well, or whatever it may be. It's like, look, I'm doing as best I can to try to get the gear back in our possession, as quickly as possible. But a lot of times, these places, these service centers, manufacturers, they're waiting on parts, or whatever it may be. So, we can only we're on other people's time, So
Nice. Do you have anything planned on the horizon for playing any shows or anything like that?
no,
No.
can't say I do. No, nothing.
My son picked up drumming, and like he does a lot more guitar work.
Okay.
So if for us, like I'm kind of seeing him like kind of get into his little groove there.
That's It's
So
fun.
it's always cool to see like the progression,
For
know what
sure.
I mean, as someone picks it up, especially for you that you've been doing it for so long.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. One
That's
day,
cool. Yeah,
one
man.
day it won't just be noise. It'll be more coherent noise.
Yeah. Sounds like trash cans.
Yeah,
banging.
yeah.
Well, dude, man, like I'm so stoked you took some time to hang with me.
Yeah, thanks for having
this
me.
was awesome,
Yeah, man, it's been a good time.
Yeah,
it's been a good time.
pretty painless, right?
Yeah.
So,
Nice for the coffee.
yeah, dude, no problem. I cannot drink another coffee, dude.